Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Way back when we introduced you to my own 1980 Mercedes Tesla Swap 300 CD. Well, I've done some work on it, upgraded the cooling system, put a new set of wheels on it. And actually, the old set are sitting right here on a future shop project, and these are my junkyard mono blocks that are now upgraded. But there's actually more stuff going on with the 300 CD, so let's go outside and check out what we got to put on it. So on American cars, Mercedes that they imported in the US in the 80s, because of safety regulations, they had these gigantic bumpers on the front and the back. In Europe, they had what are called Euro bumpers. They're a lot more tucked. So what I decided to do was get not only a Euro bumper set, but I had a company make me the Euro bumper set plus an AMG replica body kit. So in this Mercedes here, all of our body kits here, all of our parts and necessary hardware, I'm told will make the conversion from our Euro bumpers to composite Euro bumpers and the body kit as well. So this body kit I got is from classiceuroparts.com. They are in Europe, and as you can see, DHL, so this was international shipping, went to the port of Miami, came into my house in Florida. Good company to work with. They have lots of parts, not just for a W123 chassis, a bunch of other Mercedes. They also have BMW and a lot of other European options. Some of these parts they actually made specific for my car. They didn't have molds for a coupe version yet. They had four-door W123 chassis. So they'll also work with you if you have something that they don't already have already. So let's pull the Mercedes in the shop, get it up on the lift, start removing front and rear bumpers, and start to get some fitment going on these guys. We got all the bumpers and bumper trim stripped off the rear and the front here. So I guess we'll start up front. This is our Euro composite bumper. So normally these are similar to this. It's like a chrome stainless bumper, but this is a carbon poly fiberglass composite version of the same exact thing. So we're gonna start to get this up here, see where it lines up. I can kind of already see there's a tab here. Probably goes to this hole right here. And then that might be most of the mounting that I see for this. So obviously you gotta drill some holes in there to line up with these. We'll figure out the best way to hold it up there and then probably mark from the backside onto our bumper unit.
We got our front bumper mocked up. Everything is kind of lined up pretty good. The body line on the bumper here, and same over here. So mind you, there's no directions, there's no pictures of this kit online. So we're going off AMG. So this is a replica of an AMG kit. We're doing our best here. So next is our bottom little valance. And it looks like the valance kind of lines up here with the bottom, and then it dips down. So this tow hook is in our way. This doesn't look like it's bolted on, it looks like it's welded on. So Dave has the trusty old cutoff wheel. No glasses on, Dave, safety.
Alright, so we got our front bumper mounted in a couple places, and we're trying to fit this lower valance and having some issues. Really what it was is that we wanted to put this bumper on so we could see where this is going to sit, but now we actually know how high this needs to be. Pretty much this line, body line right here, is going to match up with the top edge here, so we got to go up like maybe 1/4 eighth inch. And you can see this piece is attached to the bumper side, kind of matches the contour right there. So we're in a pretty good spot. The only thing is that it's hard to push up both sides at the same time and get it held in place to get it marked. This is where we're going to be attaching. There's a factory panel right back there. So what's going to be much easier because than trying to push it past where it mates up with the bumper since the bumper slips on this way. Now we know how high it needs to be. We can take the bumper off and then place the valance without fighting, pushing up, trying to slide it, the two pieces against each other. So you can see on this side, this one's dropped down a bit, but this piece was rubbing on the inside of the bumper edge, and that was preventing us from holding it in the right position to mark all of our holes. So I'm gonna pull the bumper off, pull the valance down, and drill some holes through here so that when we put it back up, we can mark through to these mounting points. And then we'll also see, because there's probably gonna be, catch a couple pieces of hardware on the inside to this lip right here. Once the valance is up, then we could try and push the bumper back in place on top of it and make sure that still all lines up. And then we should be pretty good to go. First thing I'm gonna do though, because this needs to go higher and you can see how close it is to our cut here, when I pull everything off, first thing I'm gonna do is cut back this tow hook even more and make a nicer, cleaner cut as well. So that way it doesn't start to rub and interfere with our lower valance. Okay, so I got a piece of hardware in here, piece of hardware in here. I'm gonna get some nuts in the back and tighten those down. As you can see, the sides are naturally sort of want to bend down, but you can easily, relatively easily, there you go, lift it up. I'm trying to get this line pretty close to this line, and this line here is lined up. So this is about where we want it to sit. What I'm gonna do is get some hardware to hold this secure, some nuts on the back, and then once that's there, I'll hold up each side and then drill one pilot hole through the valance and then through the inner fender lip. Then I'll take it off, drill it out to both out to 1/4 inch, and then be able to put a piece of hardware in there. All right, so I got the front valance and the bumper fully installed. Obviously not painted yet, but as far as looks goes, I think it looks pretty sweet. I gotta put the bezels back in, but looks pretty good. Obviously it's off the ground, the wheels will tuck in, but this is nice. So instead of the bumper coming out to about here, now we're nice and tucked in, Euro style. Next thing I'm gonna work on is getting the rear bumper and then the rear valance fitted. All right, so I got the brackets loosely mounted. As you can see, you could easily lift this up into position. And now we get to the sides. So these sides have these built-in brackets that you run a bolt into. It'd be interesting trying to mark that in. This side, as you see when you bring it in like this, looks pretty decent. There's like a slight little gap here, but it kind of gets sucked in when you tighten down the bolt that's going to go through here. On the other side though, when we bring this whole piece up to where it wants to be and pushed in, we got an issue. So right now our bracket's all the way up against the body, but there's this huge gap right here. So the easiest thing that I see to do, we cut the top off of this, cut down the sides a little bit, drop it down, then that'll give us enough room. We want it above here because there's a body line here that it dives into, but not this much that's pushing out and creating this big gap. So I'm gonna try and suck it in, maybe a 1/4 inch or so will be good. I'll take a measurement, but I think that will get us to where we need to be to get these bumpers, or at least this side, nice and tight, just like the other side is. All right, we got the bumper back on and our gap is nice and closed up with our modification. This line is all good, and then we come around to here, and we still got a tiny little gap, so I think I'm going to take this off again, do the same thing to the other side, but not nearly as drastic. It's probably maybe like an 1/8 inch that I got to take out of that bracket and re-weld it. So let's pull it off one more time, get it on the bench, do that. I think it'll be worth it in the end. We got our rear bumper on, no gap, nice and tight, no gap on this side. So we are looking real good on the rear bumper, everything's all tightened up. Next is this cool rear valance. It's long, it's floppy, so I think I'm gonna try and use these 2 green jack stands, put it on either side, lower the lift down to it, just to hold it almost up into place while I work around. This is just sheet metal screws from the underside are gonna go up, I think, into here, I'm pretty sure. So let's give it a whirl, see where we get to. All right, so we got our valance in. As you can see, lines up super nice. And it's nice and even with the bumper, and even with the headlights, the line. So I am happy with that. All right, we got our side skirts on. Just took couple self tappers, and they got really cinched in there, looking really nice. And last but not least is the spoiler. So we have 4 pieces of hardware. We're gonna have to drill through the trunk lid. Scary stuff. I think what I'm gonna do is put the spoiler on exactly where it's going to sit, and then trace around a couple parts, and then I'm going to take some measurements from the tracing, this edge to this bolt hole, maybe from here, distance over down to there, same thing on these 2 sides, and then just try and use markings to be able to catch these. We're going to try this method, see how it works. Let's get the hardware out, get the spoiler on, see if it sits nice. Now that the body kit is all finished being fit, I pulled it off and brought it over to Boca Paint Body. So we're gonna head over there and check out the progress on all the body work and the paint for the body kit. So we're here at Boca Paint Body, checking the progress. This is Tony, say what's up.
What's up, guys?
We're gonna take a walk back here and see where we're at. They're all back there. Whole lot of trim pieces everywhere. I'm not the only bumper in town. So since these are fiberglass, you know, they're not perfect in the molds. They gotta get smoothed out. Yeah, yeah.
Get these mold lines out. Any imperfections. That's the way it works.
Right now, this color got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It got 6 different tones in it. To create the color.
Right.
Sometimes you'll get some that have like 12 different.
Oh man.
Man. And you wouldn't think by just looking at the car that it has that many tones.
Right.
To the panel.
Yeah.
Each one of those is a different shade of sealer. So once it's time to seal, I can know which ones give me the best coverage.
Gotcha. exciting day. We got all the body parts back from paint. I got the car here. It's on my lift at home, and we're going to install this body kit. So I have everything pulled off the front here. I got some plastic panels in the back that have been painted black, just like trim that goes underneath. And I'm gonna start because we're gonna have to get in here. I'm gonna pull off the front and rear wheels. That'll make this job a whole lot easier. And we'll see what happens when we get to the side skirts and this style lift. We got the front side on, and it is looking sharp. Everything is fitting up really nice. We got that grill back in there, blacking out the middle, and fitment, color match, spot on. So from here, we're just gonna move on to the back. I think we'll do the lower valance first, and then get on that rear bumper. Alright, so the Mercedes is all back together. As you can see, we got the AMG replica body kit from classiceuroparts.com. Fitment took a little while, took a little tweaking like any body kit would, but it really came together, especially with a paint job from Boca Paint and Body. Wheels, these rotiforms provided by St. Paul Speed. They just fit the car perfectly, period correct with a new twist, and I think it really sets everything off. And speaking of Mercedes, you might have seen in the background of some of the shots in our other builds that we got a W126 1984 Mercedes that we're going to be doing an LS swap on. So we're building up a bunch of content on that. Stay tuned. In the near future, you'll be seeing the LS swap on one of these old Mercedes. And also, this thing's not done either. I got it looking the way I want, driving the way I want, but you know, it's a little toasty out here and I don't have AC. So I want to do high voltage electric air conditioning. I want to do a bigger battery pack to run the air conditioning, and so I could drive to more car events. I have longer range, and then fast charging capabilities as well. And lastly, stance is great, but it could always be lower. So I want to do some air ride suspension on this so it could sit on the ground when it's parked. So once again, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one.